Hello folks, Phil Gallagher aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. Today's video is sponsored by moxfield.com as always. Today we are going to be playing with a hybrid combo deck submitted by Christian, who wanted us to play both the Dark Depths and Thespian stage combo alongside the Painter's Servant Grindstone combo. So essentially, we're kind of like a weird green two-card Monty deck list, where we have multiple different combinations of cards that we can assemble, either of which will win the game on their own. We can either assemble a 20/20 creature that will usually kill our opponent in one shot, or mill our opponent out. And Urza Saga is going to act as a tutor for Grindstone, while also being able to search for Expedition Map, so it can help us complete both halves of our combo. Now, one thing that's kind of neat about this deck list is Painter's Servant is traditionally in red, so you can play Red Elemental Blast. This deck is taking it in a slightly different direction and going for Veil of Summer instead. So this is kind of like a cantripping counterspell in a lot of cases. You draw a card if an opponent has cast a blue or black spell this turn, and spells you control can't be countered this turn. You and permanents you control gain hexproof from blue and black until end of turn. So this card can be used in a handful of ways. You can play this kind of first before you play an important card as a way to see if your card will resolve with 100% certainty. You can cast this after you've cast your important card as like a got you response to a counterspell, or you can use this to protect, a permanent you control from a removal spell. And if Painter's Servant has been set on either blue or black, that means Veil of Summer is going to stop everything. So that Merit Lodge that has just been targeted with a Source of Plowshares or like a Solitude or whatever, you can Veil of Summer that if you have Painter on the appropriate color. So that's kind of the angle that we're attacking from. I've made very minimal changes to Christian's deck list here. I added in one grindstone in the sideboard so that I can board into the fourth. There's going to be some times where the Dark Depths combo is going to be a little bit awkward, and I'm going to be reliant more on the Painter Servant side of the deck list, and I want to be able to assemble A plus B as quickly as possible in the cases where that happens. I took out one random kind of combo hate card in order to do that, and I think Christian originally had 3 copies of Boseiju, and while this card's really good, 3 is a lot to play of a legendary land. Like, Yavimaya specifically, I think, gets a pass here because of, like, it allowing Dark Depths to tap for mana. Like, it's kind of a land and a half, so I think that one gets the pass here. But I don't think I can play both 3 Yavimayas and 3 Boseijus, so I added one more basic land in its spot. Taking a quick look at the sideboard here, the initiative is very much being targeted with 4 copies of Torpor Orb, and this is going to have some splash damage on decks like Death and Taxes and Thassa's Oracle based decks as well. One thing that I want to say here, and this is something that we talked about in our most recent episode of the Eternal Glory podcast, is that Torpor Orb isn't always going to stop the initiative deck. We're not playing Mana Acceleration in this deck list, so we don't have an Ancient Tomb that lets us play that Torpor Orb on turn 1, which means if our opponent can turn 1, or maybe turn 2 when they're on the play, an initiative creature, our Torpor Orb is maybe not doing its job. So that's something to keep in mind. The Torpor Orb that we are targeting for the initiative might not always actually win the matchup for us, but it is a strong sideboard card, generally speaking. We'll see how it performs. I do want to highlight one old piece of tech, and that's Drop of Honey. Beginning of your upkeep, destroy the creature with the least power. It can't be regenerated. 2 or more creatures you control are tied, you pick one. When there's no creatures on the battlefield, sacrifice Drop of Honey. Now, one thing about this. We are playing our own creatures in this deck list, and generally speaking, they do have a low amount of power. So while this is a powerful sideboard card that can eliminate a lot of pressure, it is something that we need to be a little bit careful of just casting willy-nilly. I think the last thing that I want to say here is I'm kind of curious whether or not this deck needs something like a Maze of Ith in it. Like, I wonder if, like, Maze of Ith is going to be better than one of these Torpor Orbs, but I've already tinkered with the deck list a little bit, so I think I'm going to go ahead and submit it as is. All right, let's hop into the matches here. If you're new here and you like what you see, please consider subscribing. And if you're a regular, throw me a like before this video begins. It's the easiest way to support my content for free. Let's battle. For a special treat here, we've gotten paired against a Gigantha deck list. My mana here is really awkward. I think I'm just going to mulligan this one. An ETB tapped land alongside a colorless land is a little rough here. Well, this is probably a keep on 6. It's awkward. It's real awkward, folks. I think the Veil of Summer just goes back without a painter in hand. It's not like Mox Diamond is particularly choice either, though. Are we like mavericking? Are we landsing? Yeah, we're landsing. So my opponent is probably playing a Field of the Dead 8 mulch type deck. Okay. Fuck me. Wow. I just got hard countered, folks. If I play a land, the Pithing Needle Wasteland, it gets wastelanded in response. If I Mox Diamond the Pithing Needle Wasteland, it gets Blast Zoned, and both of these cards come back with Life from the Loam? Fuck. Okay. 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 I also can't play out this fucking Dark Depths or my opponent just Thespian stages it. Fuck me. Okay. Discard Dark Depths. Cast Pithing Needle. We have to put it on Blast Zone here. I will play this Yavimaya. Go ahead and use it to put an Elvish Reclaimer into play. That at least punishes my opponent a little bit for when we inevitably get Wastelanded into Oblivion. My opponent's Life from the Loam is going to do work when coupled with Mana Bond here. Oh, sorry. I need to mute the... I need to mute these Magic Online sounds. Sorry about that. I had a different setup going for when I was recording with Dre recently. I'm not gonna lie to you. If that Boseiju is just repeatedly recycled here, like blowing up my stuff, I'm just dead. Like, I'm an artifact-based deck. My opponent has really hindered my ability to do cool stuff here. And like now Blast Zone is live again, and that can answer like my Elvish Reclaimer and whatnot. Game's gonna get weird fast. I think I make this land drop, play Grindstone, and pass. I think it's very hard for me to get a Painter Servant kill through my opponent's nonsense, but I can try. I don't know. Maybe this is the point where I should just concede. It's like so hard for me to beat this combination of cards when they can just come back every single turn. All right. So my opponent is going for the immediate Wasteland play. I don't know. I just made the Blast Zone better by playing out that Grindstone. I am so screwed. Oh, there's Urza Saga now. So like an actual win condition can happen too. All right, there's another Life from the Loam. Now this Mana Bond trigger happens. My opponent so has my number here. I guess I can draw an Endurance. Right here. Sweep the graveyard. Wait, is this a Merit Lodge? Play Thespian stage. Crop rotation. Dark Depths. Produce Merit Lodge. And my opponent's Thespian stage is tapped, so it's actually safe? Oh. Did I underestimate ye old deck here? I think I did. We got very lucky to hit this window where my opponent is tapped out of both Wasteland and Thespian stage. And I was thinking about conceding. My opponent gets 3 looks at cards from Life from the Loam to find a Caracas or Maze of Ith, I guess. And they missed. Hot damn. I I don't believe it, but we just won that one. Alright, I'm a fucking believer. Let's go. Ramunap Excavator and Life from the Loam seem like easy wins here. Full Guide Lantern probably as well. I can think about these three cards here. Let's figure out what I don't need. Veil of Summer is interesting. It's a way to protect my lands from Wasteland if I do have a Painter. Deck from Caracas. Oh, also, I think I punted in a different way that game. Like, it worked out for me, but instead of getting the other basic land, I could have just gotten Bojuka Bog. That takes the game in a very different direction, but that might have just been safer. I forgot I had Bojuka Bog in this deck. So I'm probably going to cut Sylvan Safekeeper. I don't think this lines up super well versus, like, the Punishing Fires that I know my opponent has. And I think I'm going to go down on Veil of Summer. I might not cut all of them. This would get me 2 of these 3 cards without really making any other massive changes to my deck list. Do I need that other Grindstone? I think I do. I could probably go down a Green Sun here. Hard for me to get to 4 total mana for Green Sun for Endurance and Ramunap Excavator, which are kind of the big wins here. I think I'm comfortable going down one of those. Alright, I think I like this hand. I have the ability to play a turn 1 Elvish Reclaimer and also Pithing Needle Wasteland. Feels, oh, kind of important. Alright, Field of the Dead is going. And Dark Depths, notably, is going to tap for green mana right now, which is kind of a big deal. Oh, it's so scary to just play out Dark Depths, though. As my opponent could have Thespian stage. Okay, that is a draw. I think I'm in a Mox Diamond, discarding one of the Dark Depths. I think I don't play my Dark Depths immediately. I think I'll go ahead and play Elvish Reclaimer. Do I just want to play a second Elvish Reclaimer? Be the beatdown that I want to see in the world? Potentially, and then I can wait to see if I can Pithing Needle Urza Saga instead of Wasteland directly. Like, it's a little awkward to Needle Wasteland when I myself have a Wasteland in play. Hey! Alright, that is a Gigantha to hand. Alright, there's a stage on my end. I can make myself a Merit Lodge next turn. Do I Pithing Needle this Urza Saga? I don't have to turbo this game. Maybe I don't have to turbo this game. Let's Wasteland this Urza Saga. Helps me in the short term. I think what I'm going to do now, a little weird. I think I'm just going to sacrifice this Thespian stage and find another Thespian stage. Like, I'm very happy having that land. This lets me attack with a 3/4 this turn. Drops my opponent to a more reasonable life total. And now I've kept them from producing a creature via Urza's Saga. Nice. While also keeping them off of the Gigantha plan. So I like how I approached this here. Like, I think if I kind of went for the win and things went wrong, or the Urza Saga like finds map into Caracas or something, it could be awkward for me. So I like playing towards my onboard aggro win. I do think we got a little bit lucky there that our opponent didn't have like a mulch effect with double exploration that really could have put them over the top quickly. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, and I host all of my deck lists here. And one of the things that I want to show you is there's more than one way to view your decks on Moxfield. So normally deck lists are sorted by like what type the card is, but you can use tags on Moxfield. So if you're trying to group parts of your deck into conceptual categories so that you can really figure out how many of each effect you have and balance your deck list, this is one of the best places to do that. Okay, this hand's a little weird. I have a Mox Diamond that I definitely don't want here, so this is kind of like a 6-card hand already. I have Dark Depths and the ability to find a Thespian stage, but not really to deploy them quickly. I think this hand is clunky enough that I just go ahead and mulligan it. No. Alright, we are on 5. A little ugly. I think I keep this and play this as a Painter Grindstone hand, with Urza Saga being my way to find Grindstone. So let's get rid of my things that are not land drops here. I am so not used to this art, by the way. So this is almost a turn 3 kill. It's a turn 3 kill if I draw an untapped land in my next 2 turns, and it's very clunky if I don't. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and give up a turn here in terms of tempo, and hope my opponent is not on a wasteland deck. Seen some like Jeskai Delver decks starting to pick up. It could be this. We could be looking at some sort of Cephalid Breakfast deck, a Bant control list. Could be a lot of things. We need a little bit more information here. All right, Scalding Tarn, still a little ambiguous. All right, I feel pretty good about just playing Urza Saga and Painter here. So let's do that. See if we're resolving. We do. Let's make everything black rather than blue, because my opponent is likely to have Force of Will on their deck list, and making things blue is not necessarily a good thing, because then they can pitch lands to Force of Will. All right, we're seeing an end of turn fetch. This is probably just clearing that initial brainstorm. So we've probably rolled out Cephalid Breakfast. That's not traditionally a red deck, so it's looking more like we're facing down a 4-color control deck of some kind. All right, Crop Rotation is an okay draw. We're going to go ahead and just continue to deploy some land drops here. We're going to try to play a fair Urza Saga game for the next few turns, and then maybe try to get a backdoor Dark Depths kill, or if we find another Painter Grindstone kill or whatever. If we had a little bit more mana, we could definitely do some cute things, like sacrifice our Urza Saga with its like final trigger on the stack. It's very possible that we will eat a dress down that will invalidate most of what this Urza Saga has tried to accomplish. I think that's just one of those things that we kind of have to deal with. All right. I'm kind of in an awkward position right now. I think I want a Mox Diamond. This lets me get this Dryad Arbor out of hand, and I'm going to try to grow these Urza Saga tokens to a 4/4 size specifically. And doing that means that they are safe to attack into an endurance in this turn cycle. Minskenboo is a pretty good name here. Now, I've already drawn this. I only have one of these, right? I only have one of these in the main deck. If my opponent has Swords to Plowshares and Endurance, this attack is very awkward for me. Seems like I've dodged that worst case scenario, which is nice. Okay, there's the Endurance that I played around. Very good. Oh, they've targeted themselves to put an extra copy of Swords to Plowshares back into their deck. Aha. Yeah, that occurs. That turns these into 3/3s, meaning Endurance gets to hold the ground against them. At least until I make another Construct token. Ooh, that's going to put Prismatic Ending right back on top. I don't have white mana available right now. Do have a Hamster. Do I have a Caracas in the main deck? No, it's in my sideboard. A little rough. Okay. All right, they're chilling. I could Crop Rotation for a Thespian stage right now. It's pretty likely to resolve right now. I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. I don't really want this land in play. There's a stage. A Mox Diamond. Oh, that's really interesting. If I play Mox Diamond, discarding Dark Depths, I can have multiple 5/5s in play and really pressure my opponent hard. This will be very bad versus Dress Down, Terminus, Supreme Verdict, these sorts of things. But then I won't randomly lose to Minskenboo burying me in cards, or my opponent just happening to have a Swords to Plowshares. Well, this is not where I thought this turn cycle was going, but here we are. Let's send these at Minskenboo. Okay, and my opponent is just going to let their Planeswalker go. All right, good stuff. So now we don't even need to commit this other Urza Saga token to the board immediately. We are sending theoretically lethal amounts of damage my opponent's way next turn, but I know they have Prismatic Ending to answer one of these. This is fine. Are either of these crashing in? I don't think so. Let's get one more token, end of turn. Pick up yet another one on my turn. Oh, Veil of Summer is absolutely not bad here. Live up 2 different green mana, I think. Alright. Third token, these are 5/5s. They're about to become 6/6s. I think I take Expedition Map. Shadow Spear is a little tempting here. I think I get Map, though. It gives me a backdoor Merit Lodge kill in the not too distant future. Let's battle. Alright, we are going to see the double block here. I believe that I want to kill the token. It would be very awkward for my opponent to top deck another Minsc and Boo. Alright, so goodbye Hamster. I don't feel like I need to do this right now. I'm not even sure that I'll crack it end of turn, honestly. Like, this sitting on the board to keep these as 5/5s is super relevant versus Endurance. Yeah, I think I don't crack this. I think I swing in with both 5/5s. Send them. Alright, we are at the point where my opponent is chump blocking. 3 damage marked on this creature. My opponent doesn't have a Source of Plowshares, or they would have used it here. I think I just chill. Like, I could Expedition Map for another Urza Saga. I could Expedition Map for the Dark Depths. It just kind of feels like I don't need to do anything, and I just want to stay flexible. This deck is actually feeling, like, really good. I absolutely want this Caracas. I absolutely want this Choke. I think the, like, Life from the Loam is defensible as a way to, like, try again if I have to do that. Soul Guide Lantern has some value. I don't think I want the extra copies of Grindstone here. I think I just kind of accept that I'm going to lose some number of them to Prismatic Ending and similar cards over the course of a game. I'm a little unsure how I want to sideboard. Like, both of my combos are pretty easily interacted with the tools that my opponent has. Like, these 2 cards are auto yes. I think these 3 cards are worth considering. A lot of times versus blue decks, I cut crop rotations. Just because, like, if you crop rotation and your opponent counters it, it's pretty rough. But I have a pile of Veil of Summers here, so I feel like that changes that math a bit. I think if I bring in Caracas, I can board out one random land of my choice if I would like. I think I'm going to keep my Wasteland. Probably board out one Boseiju. It's a green source, which matters, but maybe I won't keep my Wasteland. I think assembling Wasteland Ramunap is pretty tough. Shadow Spear doesn't seem super necessary. This gets me these 2 cards, and then I'm kind of unsure about the rest of this a bit. Pithing Needle for Minsc and Boo is hot. I think I'm going to sideboard like this on the draw, and I like some of that other stuff as options later. Maybe it's a mistake not bringing in the Soul Guide Lantern. I'm just not, like, super comfortable with my boarding plan here. This will be a keep. We'll see where exactly this hand goes. I think I'm trying to use Elvish Reclaimer as something that just takes a Source of Plowshares or Prismatic Ending out of my opponent's hand. Ideally, we'll find Painter so that Veil of Summer can be used as a counter spell or Swords to Plowshares. Like, Swords to Plowshares is going to be like the big card that punishes some of my lines in this matchup. Okay, perfect. Oh, okay. We've got some redundancy. I'm going to play Thespian Stage here and just pass my turn. I'm probably into just cantripping with Veil of Summer right now. Ooh. You keep a 1-lander? A 1-lander? That is mighty interesting. Oh shit. Here we go. Let's play a Sylvan Safekeeper. I have a protection spell for it. Oh, this is gonna feel good. We will Veil of Summer that, so now it cannot be countered. Or Dark Depths. Okay, we will be passing the turn here now. Nice, we didn't see an end of turn Swords to Plowshares there. Alright, this is a very critical brainstorm for my opponent. Because if they miss on a land drop here, they are going to continue to miss land drops for the next few turns. Okay, they did hit their land drop. That's a big deal for them. Okay. Tundra potentially represents that they have multiple white removal spells that they care about. Um, Here, I'm going to go ahead and sacrifice a Dark Depths to keep this thing around. And I will sacrifice Dark Depths since I just have more copies. And our goal is to make our opponent have 2... Oh! Fuck! What a punish. Oh my gosh. Oh, I just fucked up. I just fucked up. This can target me. Oh, I just fucked up. I just punted that. What a roller coaster of emotion that was. Alright. I was just so surprised by the surgical extraction that I didn't reevaluate the cards in my hand. Like, that's on me. Alright, opponent's at 14. I can hopefully still just play a reasonable beatdown game. Like, if they miss more land drops, I'm okay. Alright, nope, 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 nope. We'll go ahead and cast an Endurance. I will nuke their graveyard for Mystic Sanctuary reasons and any other random delve or delve adjacent cards that my opponent might have. Go ahead and play this out. And we are fully on beatdown duty here. Yeah, that's just cantripping. That's fine. All right, my opponent goes to 10. And let's see if I can redeem this game here. I am ahead on board, and I have protection for a removal spell. Well, I kind of have protection multiple different ways, honestly. Opponent doesn't have the mana for an opposing Endurance. I think I know Sir that sacrificing a Thespian stage. Oh wait, I don't have to tap it like that because Yavimaya. So let's crop rotation like this and go pro white. Game's good. End of turn, we will go full aggro here. Nuke that graveyard. And we've probably got things from here. This is 7 damage, putting my opponent to 3. I don't think I play this into Supreme Verdict. Because, like, if my opponent hits their 4th land drop and Supreme Verdict's all of these away, I want to have something that can just poke them for the last couple of points of damage. We're okay versus something like a Minsk and Boo. Yeah, I am so good with my opponent using their mana that way. I don't think we can lose from here. There's Savannah for another land drop, and there's the concession. We're 2-0. I'm not happy with my misplay in regards to the surgical extraction, but we were still really far ahead after my opponent missed their land drops, so we were able to capitalize on that window. Okay. I think this hand is a keep. The Veil of Summer doesn't really fit, but this is a hand that can draw a Thespian stage, or otherwise tutor it up and be pretty well off. It looks like we're probably playing against the initiative deck here. Alright, so we are going to get to see whether or not our Torpor Orbs do anything meaningful here. Good news is my opponent is not going to have an awful lot that actually interacts with, like, the Painter Grindstone kill. But I have to draw a Painter. I think I'm always going to start with Mark's Diamond, discarding a Dark Depths. I think I always play Urza Saga, and I play out this Grindstone. I want to play out the Grindstone before something like a Chalice can come into play. This White Plume Adventurer is about to become a 5/5, and at that point, it's likely to outpace my Construct tokens in the short term, and, like, this thing is going to be able to untap itself, meaning that it gets to hold the ground defensively as well. I'm down to 15. Yeah, and see, like, this gets to untap itself, so even if I make a decently large construct, it's not currently big enough to matter. My plan is just, like, Merit Lodge next turn, I guess, right? Play probably Forest this turn, float a mana next turn, get Thespian stage, copy Thespian stage, either gain 20 or potentially kill my opponent. That seems like the plan. Yeah, White Plume Adventure on turn 1 is so blisteringly fast in terms of a clock. One of the big questions for this game 1 is, well, never mind. That answers which version of the initiative my opponent is on. This is likely to be either a Caves of Chaos Adventurer or a Seasoned Dungeoneer. gonna draw my opponent a card. I think this means I'm dead though, because now this is a cleric, so it can get protection from my Merit Lodge next turn. So the fact that I'm about to make a 20/20 blocker is not going to matter. My opponent is just going to goldfish me on turn 4, and I can't even use this as a jump blocker right now because it has protection from creatures. About the only thing I could have done differently this game is like chosen to Boseiju that Ancient Tomb, but then I wouldn't have been developing my own board. Can I still draw Painter? Still draw Painter and kill my opponent. Taps itself. Yeah, I am dead. GG. So my opponent is going to have a high density of initiative creatures. And so we are going to go this Torpor Orb route and these Drop of Honeys, I think. The Veil of Summers can probably go here. Pithing Needle can probably go here. The Bojuka Bog is not great. Something else might be worse. Like, I'm looking to Goldfish to a hand that has a plan. Or, like, if we're really lucky, a Mox Diamond Torpor Orb hand is pretty strong. Endurance isn't particularly good here. That can also probably go. Like, it's a 3/4 that I can Green Sun for, but we're not really looking for Green Sun to be good, if that makes sense. Like, we're going to keep it as its acceleration via Dryad Arbor, but we're mostly looking for this to bump us up 1 mana so that we can do a combo kill. We're not looking to win via fair combat. So Outland Liberator, I guess, is playable as a Green Sun way to get rid of Chalice if that's a thing that I need to do. And this other Grindstone should probably come in. At that point, I guess I can remove Bojuka Bog. I can board in Caracas as another mana source in place of Bojuka Bog if I want. It like bounces Thalias sometimes. I think I'm going to call this good. This does not make any mana. That is a turn 2 Torpor Orb. So if my opponent doesn't turn 1 an initiative creature, this is strong. We'll be throwing Dryad Arbor back so that we can fish it out via Green Sun. But we may see a moment that we talked about on the podcast that I recorded last night where like the card that you board for the initiative isn't actually good enough to beat the matchup. All right, here we go. Go to 19. Grab a forest. Green Sun for Dryad Arbor. And pray that we don't see a turn 1 initiative card. Because if we do, we're not particularly in a good position where we can tutor up a Thespian stage via Elvish Reclaimer, but it's all kind of slow. There's an Anointed Peacekeeper from my opponent. Notably, this is an as, not a when. And that does matter for the purposes of some of the cards. Interactions with Torpor Orb, because this is not a trigger. Words like when, whenever, and at are usually your keywords for triggers. Alright, Lotus Petal is going here. Oh wow, March of Otherworldly Light on my Dryad Arbor. I accept the living hell out of this. Now I get to Torpor Orb my opponent before they have an initiative thing in play. This is huge for me. Go Gadget Torpor Orb. This was a very costly removal spell for my opponent. We're going to see the Anointed Peacekeeper come down now, and we'll see what this names. Opponent has gone with Elvish Reclaimer, so now that costs 2 more to activate. Mox Diamond's a pretty awkward draw for me. I think I just play Dark Depths. I think I just put Dark Depths into play, and just play out my Grindstone here. So, Anointed Peacekeeper both increases the cost to cast this spell and the cost to activate its abilities. So I think right now I am playing towards either naturally drawing Thespian Stage or Crop Rotation or Painter's Servant as the primary ways that I'm going to win this game. Opponent's mana is super awkward right now. Ooh, that is another Anointed Peacekeeper. One probably names either Thespian Stage or Grindstone. Alright, they've gone with Thespian Stage. Notably, this would be a cool time to draw a Drop of Honey and just like wipe out both of these creatures. I really do need to draw something reasonable here, or I will just lose to this pair of 3/3s. I guess if I draw a land, I can discard it via Mox Diamond and play a 3-mana Elvish Reclaimer as a 3/4 blocker. Okay. I'm probably just going to play a 5/3 here. Yeah, they are just going to play a 5/3. Is that the beginning of my upkeep, right? This is a shame. So I just get attacked for 11 and I die. Yeah, our Torpor Orbs did not actually swing this matchup enough in my favor. GG's. Alright, despite having a reasonable mix of lands and spells, this hand does not have any plan. I'm going to go ahead and mulligan this one. This has a turn 3 Goldfish. I will absolutely keep this one. I think I'm going to get rid of the Sylvan Safekeeper here. I am very much not in a position to be sacrificing my lands right now. Oh, Mats is on something spicy today. Alright, I am not expecting to get wastelanded here after seeing Shelldock Isle. I really don't remember the name of the card right now. We're probably facing down like a Thassa's Oracle deck with Parallax Wave. There's like a 4-mana blue enchantment that you can exile a card from the top of your library to prevent the next 1 damage that would be dealt to you. And I'm just absolutely blanking on what its name is right now. Oh, that is a very respectable draw. That gives me a different Goldfish next turn. Play a stage here. Drop a Painter. The sort of thing you just have to counterspell. Everything will become black. It makes the cards look cool. See, like how dope is that? I'd buy that card. And that's a good looking Lotus Petal right there. There's like kind of this awkward thing going on where like my opponent has this like Shelldock Isle, right? Like, do I just lose if I Grindstone my opponent? Because that's something that's randomly gonna beat me. Get in there, Painter. Okay, there's an Ice Fang Coatl. That's fine. That doesn't actually have Death Touch right now. My opponent goes to 19. Alright, let's grind my opponent now that they have a flying blocker. Alright. Is it Oracle? Is Oracle. Alright. It is most unfortunate. Yeah, like with the flying blocker around, making so that like this backdoor kill wasn't going to be good. That was very awkward for me. Okay, what are we doing against this deck? Probably not a lot. Choke seems good. Torpor Orbs are great. Most of the rest of the stuff is pretty medium. I guess Outland Liberator technically does some things versus the Thought Lash. I think it's Thought Lash. That's the card that I was thinking about. Pithing Needle for Shelldock Isle is a thing. Shadow Spear is probably unnecessary. Probably go down one of these utility lands pretty safely. Maybe I go down both? Go down the Bojuka Bog. Probably don't need Sylvan Safekeeper. I don't actually know if I want these Veil of Summers. Like, I know this is a blue matchup and my opponent like very much might have counter spells, but it does still kind of feel like this is one of the weaker slots in my deck. Like, this is how I'm looking to beat their combo kill. I want a Goldfish faster and do this. Not sure if my evaluation of Veil of Summer is correct. Seems kind of hard to hold up the mana for that. Well, that's a weird hand. Okay. This is a weird matchup. Alright. Slam Torpor Orb. Torpor Orb has resolved. Interestingly, that does mean that my Endurance no longer has a trigger. I can play Endurance as a 3/4 creature here if I'm willing to get rid of Crop Rotation. I think I don't really want to sacrifice any of these lands right now. So let's play a card. I think I'm killing my opponent via aggro this game. I don't think I'm going to Boseiju that Shelldock Isle. Drop them to 17. Play an Elvish Reclaimer. And drop a second Torpor Orb. Alright, it's in play. Oops, all Shelldock Isle. Alright, Ponder away. And no shuffle with that Ponder. That is a Crop Rotation. And I'll land short of actually just being able to Merit Lodge next turn. I'm just gonna battle. Put my opponent to 13. Just not really sure that there is the Thought Lash. That's fine. Well, Deck Isle thing may be a problem a little bit more, generally speaking. Now I probably start converting these lands into other things. So let's just attack with Endurance this turn. Alright, yep. Yield to those. And my opponent gets to prevent the damage here. This does have cumulative upkeep, so they are going to have to exile some more cards. There are some other things other than Thassa's Oracle that can win them the game if their library is empty. Like there's like a 5-mana Jace or something that does something similar. Ah, yes. This card. Yeah. So my opponent is going to exile their entire library here and then cast some sort of cantrip. Okay, so the stack has cleared. They have one card left in their library. And so they're going to mill themselves and draw a card. And that does me in. GG's. All right, final round here. I've kept my opening hand. We have a relatively fast 2020. Oh man, I hope I'm not punished for not having a green card in hand because we were playing against Reanimator. Fuck. Yeah, alright. I can maybe beat a Grizzlebrand, though. I can't beat an Archon of Cruelty. I don't have a Caracas in game 1. Am I supposed to just concede to this right here? I'll lose the Mox Diamond. I'd have to draw like Yavimaya or another Mox Diamond to have a reasonable chance at doing something that can block the Grizzlebrand. I think I'm dead enough here that I gain more percentage points by not letting my opponent know what I'm playing. That's disappointing. Like, we're on a green deck too, so we should usually have a green card to pair with Endurance. We do not have a lot for this matchup from the sideboard. Like I get a Caracas and a Soul Guide Lantern. I could technically play this for an Animate Dead. Technically play something like Force of Vigor for Serenity. Play another Grindstone to Goldfish faster. Veil of Summer is reasonable versus discard. Not super interested in Pithing Needle on Grizzlebrand. Not super interested in Shadow Spear. Probably don't have to care about Sylvan Safekeeper all that much. That gets me these cards. I think I am going to bring this in as long as I can find something reasonable to board out. Not really sure what that would be. Green Sun to accelerate with Dryad Arbor is important. I can hardcast Endurance. Otherwise get to 3 mana to activate Grindstone. Maybe I'm not boarding that in. I want to get rid of anything that helps me make a 2020, and like the Veil of Summers are actually relevant here. This is a keep. May not innately look like it, but this hand is probably pretty good. It has Crop Rotation for Bojuka Bog. It has Veil of Summer or an initial discard spell targeting me. We'll probably Goldfish on turn 4 with Grindstone. I just have to play Greenland on turn 1 for the purposes of holding up these 2 spells. It's a problem if my opponent can unmask me, I counter it, and then they just go off anyway. Alright. We shall stare at each other. Oh my god. 1 in 53 chance of that happening. Okay. Okay. Fuck! Ah. I'm so upset right now. I'm so incredibly upset right now. I guess I'm playing an Urza Saga. Oh my god. Maybe I'm supposed to play Boseiju so I can both Veil of Summer and Crop Rotation in the same turn cycle. In case I want to get Caracas specifically. Let's see. I don't believe that I'm going to lose this game for drawing Bojuka Bog. Alright. I guess sometimes my opponent doesn't have the Dark Ritual here. Yeah, and this happens. Alright, cool. You're telling me there's a chance. I get to Veil of Summer, draw a card, counter that, and then actually get the Grizzlebrand out of the graveyard. Okay. Bog you. And I think we're playing out Painter and saying, like, you're dead next turn. This is just Grindstone to activate with what's on board. Everything can be blue. Yes, this is why I didn't make everything black. You can take my Crop Rotation. And like opponent's got 2 cards to work with here. They could have like a wear tear. That is a thing that could occur. Entomb. I guess they can entomb for an Archon, reanimate an Archon. That takes my painter out of play. Grizzlebrand. Alright, they're fetching. Grizzlebrand just seems bad here though, right? Like, Archon just immediately wins them the game? Yeah, this does not immediately win them the game. Like, they can take 14 cards for looks at producing an Archon, but I think they made their land drop this turn already, so that requires like Lotus Petals and Dark Rituals to get that started. Yeah, seems like my opponent is dead. Float mana, get Grindstone. Actually, I want to Wasteland first here because of some of the things that let you sacrifice a mountain to destroy artifacts. Alright, one has 0 cards in hand. They also showed me their entire deck there. So there is a Sarah's Emissary. Protection from artifacts could be annoying. There's wear tears in right now that are probably going to stay in. Do I want a drop of honey when I'm on the draw? I don't think so. I think if the creature gets in play, it's already a huge problem for me. Not crazy to want to do that. So many of my cards are just worse on the draw is kind of the problem here. Pithing Needle, drop are things that I can be thinking about. I think I am just going to resubmit as is. We are not in great shape against my opponent being on the play. My opponent has mulliganed. It has no green. Well, no, it does have green mana, but it has like no critical turn 1 play. This has Bojuka Bog at least. I think keeping this hand that can Bojuka Bog as of turn 1 is better than going to 5 or below looking for 1 of 2 copies of Endurance. I think I keep this and pitch a basic forest. Alright. Let's see if we're dead. That is a looting. Pitching 2 creatures, but no Lotus Petal into immediate threat, which is good. Crop rotation is almost always Bojuka Bog, so I think I just try to vomit some artifacts into play here rather than go the Dark Depths route. Let's discard the Dark Depths. Let's just play a regular old land here. Fetch a forest, and play out a Grindstone. Dual crop rotation, forest into Bojuka Bog at the first sign of danger. Ooh, there's show and tells in here as well. There is an Exhume. So let us crop rotation, get Bog, and take out both of those creatures. My opponent is on 2 cards remaining, and I have a relatively large Urza's Saga coming. There's the punish for discarding Dark Depths, but I think that's okay. Alright. Urza Saga past the turn. We're not going to manually Grindstone our opponent here. I don't need to manually Grindstone myself either. I already have 3 lands in graveyard. No immediate show and tell plus creature. Veil of Summer is not bad as backup. And if I can make it another turn cycle here without my opponent doing something disgusting to me, then I can get some insurance with Urza's Saga. Woo, buddy. Ooh, buddy, looks like we're getting a little lucky here. Okay, that in theory does leave my opponent dead. I believe that I will go for that. Let's go ahead. 1, 2 mana, 1, 2, 3 mana, yeah. I will just search up a Soul Guide Lantern as kind of a plan B here. Let's fetch out another land. Go 1 mana for a Painter's Servant. And that is the match win. That'll bring us to a 3-2 here. All right. I like this deck list. Like this one gets an official thumbs up from me. I don't necessarily know that this is better than some of the other traditional builds of Painter that are around, or that this is a better Dark Depths deck than, you know, something like the Naya Depths deck with Knight of the Reliquaries and Elvish Reclaimers and Minsc and Boo. But this is a deck that feels a lot to me like Splinter Twin, in that we have a combo kill that we are always threatening, but then there's another axis that we can attack from. So if people are bringing in artifact hate for the Painter Grindstone portion of the deck, that doesn't hate on the Thespian Stage Dark Depth side of the deck. Or similarly, if our opponent is sweating the combo, we can just beat them to death with a couple of 3/4 creatures like Endurance and Elvish Reclaimer. I would say as a whole, Veil of Summer underperformed in comparison to something like a Pyroblast from the more traditional Painter decks. But like that said, it absolutely was the reason that I was able to win this last round here. As far as the sideboard goes, again, kind of talking about the Torpor Orb problem versus the initiative decks, like I don't know that that's always going to be fast enough, especially when we're on the draw. But it was in theory good versus the Thassa's Oracle deck that we played as well, so I don't really hate having them around. Overall, I enjoyed this one a lot. I hope you did too. If you enjoyed it, please throw me a like on the way out. It helps out a lot, and I hope you have a great rest of the day. See ya!